Alaska with a change of planes and stop over in Juneau. I'm taking a picture now at the Juneau airport and panning around some of the beautiful mountains that surround this capital city of Alaska. What we're looking at now is more or less in the direction of the Mendenhall Glacier. And you can see that these extremely rugged mountains are snow-covered all year. Juneau is a good many miles south of the population centers in Alaska. It has only 28,000 people approximately, and it's the largest city in what's called the Southeast. They don't call it Southeast Alaska, they simply call it the Southeast. The other communities here of size are Sitka and Petersburg and Wrangell and Ketchikan. This is looking directly up at the Mendenhall Glacier, which my mother, Isabel Fitz Asbury, saw something like 80 years ago. She came up here, I believe, as her college graduation present, brought here by her grandfather. The Mendenhall Glacier was greatly further towards us at that time. It has been receding at a fairly rapid rate. The color of the glacier, which of course is hard to pick out because of the way the sun is, but the color of the glacier up close is an incredible jewel-like light azure, sort of like sea foam, just a gorgeous color. I'll move in on it a little bit closer now. That's looking at the left end of the glacier. Our vista is more or less to the northeast. And now you can get a somewhat better view of the ruggedness and the incredible pristine beauty of the mountains that make up so much of southeast Alaska. This is looking out south from Juneau International Airport. The proud bird with the Eskimo man on the tail is the 727 that I flew in on from Seattle, and as you can see from any direction in this beautiful, beautiful city, you have magnificent vistas of distant mountains. The mountains in the southeast are not that high, but they are indeed that beautiful. Here's another shot of the Mendenhall Glacier, this time taken from the cabin of the airplane on which I'm headed for Wrangell. You might be able to see a little bit of that unique greenish color on the Mendenhall Glacier. We're getting ready to take off. Boeing 737. Along here we see that Alaska has very few roads. Everything is done by air. Here we go. is about 25 minutes. And after Petersburg to Wrangell is only another 10 minutes. But it's unusual that we have this clear a day, so I may leave the camera going for a little while. This is looking east towards British Columbia. In fact, mountains in the distance are probably on the British Columbia line, if not in British Columbia. These great inlets were created by glacial action thousands of years ago as the Ice Age receded. So did the glaciers. We're looking down now on Admiralty Island. Immediately below us is Seymour Inlet, which is about 30 miles long. Admiralty Island is all part of the Tongass National Forest. There are more bears per square mile on Admiralty Island than anywhere in the world, I'm told. Throughout southeast Alaska, there are inlets like the ones that you can see in the center of this film. Islands everywhere. This has been an unusually dry year, this year of 1992. As a consequence, there is less snow than usual, although as you can see, there's still an ample amount. We're looking at many, many glaciers, which are up in the mountains called hanging glaciers, and then those that come down to the water are of another kind. I'm not sure of the word. We're starting to descend into Petersburg, a town of about 3,500, which is known for the large number of Norwegian people who settle there. Norwegians are primarily fishermen. There are several fish canneries in Petersburg. As perhaps you can see, there are a good many lakes in this country. The lakes, for the most part, have trout in them. Cutthroat, Dolly Varden, perhaps grayling. day of the year, one day at least of this summer season, when halibut fishing was allowed, just for a 24-hour period, and you can see some of the halibut boats returning to their port in Petersburg. Another glacier. Yet another one. The water here is often very, very deep. Petersburg airfield, served only by Alaska Airlines. Now we're flying right over the town of Petersburg. This is looking down the famed Wrangell Narrows, which indeed are narrow and a little tricky. I understand it's well marked. I have not taken that trip in my boat yet, but I intend to. The watery terrain here is called muskeg. The water in all these little communities looks like rather well-diluted tea, because it comes out of the almost jungly, although cool, conditions of the forest. Here's another shot. Pardon me, of Petersburg. Good shot of some muskeg. several wilderness cabins that the Forest Service provides a modest amount of money. Is quite brown, and this is salt water. It's mixed with a sticky river. We are bouncing along Wrangell International. We're coming into Wrangell International. Wrangell again has about 2,500 people. Depends almost entirely on the lumber mill, Alaska Pulp Corporation. A little bit of fishing, one small cannery. And there's a gold mine off in the distance in which my camera is pointing. It's on the British Columbia side, but the airplanes that service that gold mine and fly supplies in and out originate from here. Here we are. And this is June the 9th, 1992. And this is Reliance Harbor in Wrangell, Alaska. This is the tail end. It's about 5 o'clock, 5:30. It's the end of the 24-hour halibut period. And here you see the boats are unloading some of the halibut that they've caught. It's a real scramble to fish for halibut here, because when you have only 24 hours, you have to go out no matter what the weather conditions, because that's the only time you've got. And as you can see, halibut fishermen use boats of all sizes. This one is probably not over 20 feet. This is another halibut boat. He is just unloading his gear and also his fish.
76. Take it all the way. He's done. Just take it back. Go with 50.
This is the Inga that's going out now. I talked to her skipper. Said that they got about 2,500 pounds of halibut. And, I'm talking to the camera. And the smaller ones were bringing about 80 cents a pound. The bigger ones were bringing $1 a pound. It's a lot of work for not an awful lot of money. A little more modest kind of fishing. These are some of Wrangell's finest lads, and they're fishing here for cutthroat trout, dolly varden trout, and I've seen them bring in some really nice fish, particularly the dollies as they call them, up to a couple of pounds. They also catch a lot of little eels and bullheads in here. This is looking down the main part, go ahead, of Reliance Dock, and be able to show you Scrimshaw in just a moment. A lot of the boats are are out today, of course, because of the halibut season. But you can see they have to raft up for the big boats 3 deep. And rafting means to tie one boat alongside another. Myself, old Scrimshaw. Been there for 10 months.
Oh, you're a lesbian, you can live in here.
And a slightly different view. If you look aft, you can see Scrimshaw's new whip aerial for her Loran. And there she is, right next to the taffrail. Sorry guys, I hadn't put my cushions away yet. Home. It's a crab pot on the foredeck there. I've had it there for 10 months. Caught some nice crabs with it last summer. Hope to do it some more this summer. And this is a typical halibut boat. These gentlemen are just in from doing so. They fish for halibut with long lines and lots of hooks. Smaller fish in boxes like this. There's a boat waiting to come in. Looks like it's pretty heavy laden. And they get bigger than that, I understand.
Yeah.
How big do they get?
I don't know. I've heard up to 900 before. It went way out deep.
900? Hey.
Well, around the biggest I've heard of lately is only about 300, 350.
I think that hose will reach over that line.
Yeah, you got some other good sized ones in there too. It's June the 10th, 1992. This is Bill Asbury aboard the Scrimshaw in Wrangell, Alaska. I'm looking out of Scrimshaw's picture window, as I like to call it. Show you the view of our magnificent harbor. The harbor, by the way, is a fishing harbor primarily, and little pleasure sailboats like the Scrimshaw seem very much out of place. But nevertheless, we're here and they put up with us. As you can see, there are masts everywhere, but the masts are not of sailing vessels, but of fishing boats. Those are trawlers that you're seeing, and those big masts are lowered right and left, and they pull huge lines along to catch salmon. Looking now up towards the harbor master's shack. And there's where the harbor master holds forth. He has all kinds of radios, primarily a VHF, with which he communicates with boats. As I rolled in here on a stormy day, why I had to call ahead on my VHF radio and ask him if he had a place to tie me up. Today, by the way, the weather forecast is for mid-70s. And in all of my time in Alaska, I have seen no or felt no mid-70s weather. So this is a phenomenon. In the near distance is what's called the grid, and it's where the boats can be taken out of the water and worked on. You can see the cross pieces there. This saves boats like mine from having to hire expensive haul-out facilities to take the boat out of the water so you can paint the hull or do other work below the waterline. I took Scrimshaw, put her on the grid here a while back, and put on some new equipment and touched up the bottom paint. The way it works is the tides here are 20 to 25 feet. You put the boat up on above those planks at high tide and simply wait for the tide to go out. You have to be very careful, of course, that you lean the boat against the pilings there, otherwise it drops off to one side and can do a great deal of damage. This is a look out the other side, the starboard side of my hull. You can see some snowy mountains in the near distance. And then moving down the float, you can see many of Scrimshaw's sister boats, including one little sailboat here in the foreground. And then on down, you can see lots and lots of the fishing boats that make up the bulk of this dock's activities. This is looking off of Scrimshaw's port side. Sculpin that we're looking at now is owned by Doug Sandberg, who's a tugboat captain here for the Campbell Company, and he and I have become friends. And here is Scrimshaw's foredeck, and in the distance you can see some of Wrangell's housing. Wrangell's a city of about 2,500 people. And the houses are modest, except for a few that are pretty nice, but mostly this town depends on lumber and logging for its sustenance. Alaska has two lifelines. One is a daily flight in and out of Wrangell north and south by Alaska Airlines, and the other is a ferry system. We call the ferries here the Blue Canoes. Here's one that's in today on the 10th of June. I'll do a panorama of the Wrangell waterfront and environs. As you can see, it's not a very big place. In fact, this is pretty much the whole of the waterfront. Place where the float planes can come in and dock. There's the ferry we spoke of earlier. Several islands are in the Stikine estuary. We're looking at the Stikine now and some of the smaller islands. Small pleasure boat coming in. An eagle just landed in that tree over there. I count as many as 12 eagles at a time in the sky. I don't know. Yeah, you can make this guy out at the very top. And then this is the look at the main harbor. These are the Campbell Company tugboats that are stationed here. In the Nile Dock, where they have free showers, and flea showers too, probably. And then looking on down to the mass of boats that tie up this time of the year. This boat that I'm focusing on in the foreground is a halibut boat. Those are the big orange floats in the back are used to mark the place where they put the long lines down. Long lines go down, and here are some of those long lines, and with many hooks on them. Here's another picture of the grid with that boat that we saw from the stern earlier on, just about ready to float. I think high tide is about 12 feet today, and it's only another couple hours from being high. There's the inner harbor beyond this boat. And then over here is an Indian longhouse on what's called Shakes Island. Apparently this was a sort of a tribal headquarters for years, and they've restored it and put in totem poles as of old. There's the inner harbor. And here's another view of Reliance Harbor. Famous for its shrimp. They have several different kinds of shrimp. Fishermen have a wonderful name for them. They call them fleas. And if you look at live shrimp as they flop around, and you've been unfortunate enough to have to pick fleas off a dog or a cat, you'll notice the similarity. Anyway, the shrimp are trapped and netted in commercial number with this kind of a mechanism. These long metallic poles with the rings on each end are dragged athwartship aft a shrimper, and if you can see, there are nets then that drag behind this long metallic pole, and that drags in the shrimp. Of course, it drags in a lot of other stuff too, and it's one of the problems in Alaska is that they are having to be careful about their resources. Dragging the bottom of this vast land, however vast, has ultimately done some damage to the fishery. Here's another shot of Shakes Island, and frankly I don't know as much about this as I should. I'll try to find out today so I can let us all know. Wrangell is in somewhat short supply of tourist attractions, which I consider to be a blessing. The totem carving profession is gradually dying out, but here we see some of the work of the carvers, and it really is elaborate stuff, and each unit has a distinct meaning. A large number of native people live in Alaska. Several different tribes. In southeast Alaska, the principal tribes are the Haida and the Tlingit. And the Tlinkits inhabited the Wrangell area, and still do. Here's my friend Carl Robeck and Moppet. Right above this building, on a pole, you'll see a lovely bald eagle. There he is. And they are kind of a mottled brownish black until they're at least 4 years old, and then they develop the white tail and the white head, which gives them a bald appearance. And eagles are primarily scavengers, predators, carrion eaters, and they live to some extent off the carcasses of salmon that go up the rivers to spawn and then die. Wingspread of about 5 feet. They're really beautiful animals. Here's a little better shot of our eagle friend on the pole. I didn't move closer before because I was afraid that he would run away. That's a big pole, and you can see how he or she dominates the top of it. I'll be showing you what the town of Wrangell looks like. And starting from the south end, this street really is the main drag here. It goes down to Reliance Dock where I have the boat. And over here we're seeing the City Market, which is one of Wrangell's 2 grocery stores. Not the most beautiful place in the world, but not without some interest. Wrangell is one of the oldest city, perhaps the oldest city in Alaska. It's named after Baron von Wrangell, who was a Russian governor. This looks down the main drag towards a more concentrated commercial area. The little gray building that you can make out, this 2-story gray building, or 2 or 3, is the Wrangell Center, founded in 1901. It's the oldest paper in Alaska. One time I considered buying that little weekly paper. It's for sale again now, but no thank you. Still looking at Wrangell. Here's one way to decorate your house. Those are halibut floats. More black cod floats. They fish for black cod out of these waters too. They go down several hundred fathoms, which would be thousands of feet deep for black cod, and they put long lines out and many hooks, and floats are attached to the long lines. And then we'll move along and take another look at beautiful downtown Wrangell. Off to the left here is one of Wrangell's 2 hotels. This is the famed Thunderbird, where I can buy a shower for $2 or $3 if I forgot my towel. And the Thunderbird also has a laundromat in connection with it. It's the heart of the city. My favorite building in town, of course, is Odyssey's True Value Hardware and Lumber. I swear to God they carry every item known to man for repairing boats, cars, houses, you name it. And then the blue-gray building off to the left is the finest hotel in town, the Stikine Inn. And it's really the only restaurant left in town since the Diamond Sea Cafe went closed. Immediately to the right with the overhang here is the Totem Bar and Liquor Store, owned by a man I've gotten well acquainted with named Fred Angerman. And Fred, by the way, is a great Husky football fan, so he and I have a lot to talk about. It's more of Wrangell, looking towards the Prairie Dock, and the Stikine Inn, where I'm going to go in a minute and get some coffee. And then up the hill to the dominant building in town, which is the Wrangell Post Office. And I'll be going up there momentarily to get some stamps to communicate. Again, this is June the 10th, and it's about 10:30 in the morning. And this is the entrance to the Stikine River, taken just at high tide on June the 10th. Very unusual that we get this kind of weather here. I say we because I spent a good deal of time here now. And it's very unusual that there isn't more snow on the hilltops. Some parts of Wrangell are fairly attractive, and others are pretty grody. I'm standing at the end of the big ferry dock in Wrangell, looking southeast towards the little town, and another view of the hotel and the post office. Some of the residential areas. And then continuing to pan around the entrance to Wrangell with the snowy mountains in the distance. Wrangell is really surrounded by beautiful mountains. I hope the camera catches the color of this Stickeen River water. It's a nice mixture of salt chuck and muddy river water. Looking off towards Zarembo Island, where I went the other day with Carl Robeck. And Zarembo is uninhabited largely, as are most of the islands in southeast Alaska, however large. And right across here is Etolin Island, Etolin. And then looking south down the Zamovia Strait. I came in this Zamovia Strait, looks like a mill pond today, and the waves just about knocked me out of the boat as I was approaching the harbor. It was mean weather, as it often can be up here. Wrangell, Alaska is about 56 degrees 30 minutes latitude, and Cape Horn is 56 degrees latitude, although in case of Cape Horn, where they have such wild weather, that's south latitude and we're at north latitude. And panning around then, looking south and southeast again. That kind of completes the cinematic tour of this little town where I've spent so much pleasant time. This is again from the ferry dock, looking almost due west towards some of the nicer homes here. You'll also see in this pan some of the old churches. In fact, one of the early Russian churches was here, St. Dionysius, and I believe the earliest Presbyterian church, which is the cross on the left, and the earliest Episcopal church, which is the one on the right, are located here in Wrangell. And now we're looking at the other grocery store, Benjamin's. This is, I'm sure, not too exciting, but it's sure exciting when I found Benjamin's in that they were willing to take my check for groceries. And they have a pretty good selection of everything. The prices are really not all that bad either. And then kind of the industrial waterfront. And one little cannery, I believe it's that blue-gray building in the distance. That one. And then a somewhat different view of the harbor entrance where Scrimshaw is, and where I will in the next day or so have to traverse and move Scrimshaw 4.5 miles south on Zamovia Strait back to Shoemaker Bay. I've lost the uptown moorage because I was only borrowing it, subleasing it from someone else.
My wife said, we better get out of here before they kick you out. You know what they said when I left? You all come back, you hear? They can't even talk English.
Must be nice people who invite you back.
I can't do much about that.
He spends a lot of money there, so that's why they want him to come back.
Every other business is good, where they have smoke, good snacks. But it's mostly pork. They have barbecued pork ribs. I ate more pork down there than I've ever eaten in my life. I was raised pork, but I've never tasted any bacon or good pork. But since I left Iowa either.
I promised my wife, Pat, that I'd get a picture of all of you guys up here, so she may get jealous.
Good, maybe she'll come up here then.
Well, I'm hoping to bring her up here at some point.
I've got more salad. I got 3 more. Anyone want one?
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
Oh, I don't know, I'm pretty full.
You gonna take one? Sonia's gonna take one.
Okay. How about anyone here?
And here we are, taking a look at the semi-famous Wrangell Sentinel, established 1902. Oldest paper in Alaska, they say. I'm perplexed. Here we are on a Thursday. The Wrangell Sentinel has a closed sign in the window. No wonder it isn't making any money. The 3 people I just filmed were respectively Dave Mork, the harbor master, and assistant harbor master Tracy Peterson, and Rich Tourist on this gigantic vessel over here at the Flying Bridge. Okay, it's recording now.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's taking pictures
Oh
now?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now.
Say, Jesus, got it
You
made.
got a pretty nice, colorful shirt on, Carl.
Yeah, maybe that's what takes the picture. Yeah, brightens it up.
Hey there, Pumpkin. I want you to hold her on your
Yeah.
lap, see if we can get her.
Yeah. Moppet, come
Mop-
here, Moppet. Come here, Moppet. 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 Here, Mop. No. Can you get her? Give me that there. Yeah. Here, Mop. Yeah, there you are, Mop. Yeah, that's a good doggy. Here, Mop.
Okay, now there are my 2 good friends at the Reliance Dock, namely Carl Robeck and Moppet. How old's Moppet?
17.
Yeah. And what do they say a dog's year is?
I don't know. Oh, it's 7.
Is it 7?
Yeah.
So 7 times.
119, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know how she passed me up. I can't figure that one out. Oh, no.
She can't hurt anything, Carl.
Oh, on here?
Nah. She doesn't bother me.
She'll take all the yarn right
Yeah,
off.
it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
No, I told my family about you because
Yeah.
you've got a lot of interesting fishing
Yeah.
experiences.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've had quite a few. I've fished everything, I guess.
What's the closest call you ever had in terms of going down or losing the boat or?
Oh, we were down in Frisco fishing sardines. We had a load on there and a deck load besides. Well, it got a little rough when we got up to the lightship. We were way down by Point Sur. We got the fish. Coming up to the lightship there in Frisco, it started to get rough and the boat was rolling. The boat started going down in the stern. And it was, they had a lot of salt sacks full of salt, and that dissolved. It went and plugged up that drain pipe, a 4-inch drain pipe they got there.
I see.
Limber hole going into the hole. The pump couldn't take anymore. It would stop coming in, and it was leaking through the timbers on the back end around stern, you know. And so it went right down, and it was just the chain plates. They were still in the water, you know. It was down in the stern, way down. She was trying to go ahead, you know, just go like this here, pushing uphill, you know, pushing the boat up, you know.
How big a boat?
It was about a 72-foot. It wasn't a very big one.
You were skipper or you were crew?
No, I was a crew on there. And when it started to go down, well, I went down and I got my watch and wallet. I went down in the engine room, you know, down and pulled myself along. It was such a steep hill there. And I grabbed a few life preservers, about 6 life preservers, and took them up with me on the deck. And them guys were in the skiff. The skiff had floated off. And they were towing behind, being towed behind. And then there was 3 or 4 guys up, 3 guys, I guess, up on deck. And the seine started going off, floating. The bunt end that went overboard. And so we all grabbed that there and pulled it in again and tied it down. And skipper says, oh, he put them guys in the skiff, you know. And he was thinking of setting it. If there was a seine boat right behind us, he would have set the seine out, got rid of it, you know, and then they could have pulled it up.
Those seines are expensive?
Oh, God, they were expensive. Yeah, they are. And so the Coast Guard, it came out, it was out there, you know, by us.
Point Sur is between San Francisco and Monterey, I think, isn't it?
It's below Monterey a little bit.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, a little bit farther
I see.
Monterey, I think.
Mhm.
And we, the Coast Guard, here was a troop ship coming in, you know, with soldiers and lots of guys on it, you know, on a troop ship. It was loaded down with these soldiers. They come from overseas. And a submarine come alongside too, was coming. And the goddamn big troop ship was going full bore, you know, through it. And the Coast Guard hollered to him and says, slow down, he says, can't you see a boat sinking here? And the submarine, it went around the circle around us, looking at us. All the crew on there, just like they'd never seen anybody sinking. And they come from overseas. The boat was rusted, the sub, and Jesus Christ. I had to laugh. I thought, Jesus Christ, look at this here. They
weren't offering to help.
No, they didn't know. They didn't offer to help. The Coast Guard was standing by anyway. He told them to slow down, for Christ's sake. Can't you see a boat sinking?
Yeah, a big, big troop ship like that would throw a heck.
Would, yeah. And we got in by ourselves, our own power, but it took us 9 hours from the lightship to get in, and it takes us 2 hours to get out to the lightship when they're...
But you saved the boat?
Yeah, we went in there in the dock, and they got in there, and we took the seine off first, and then it floated about where the hatch was, you know, about 2 inches down. The water come up, and it was full of water in the hole, you know, just full in there. We didn't have to put the hose down in there.
But it didn't drown out the engine?
No, the bulkhead. But when I went down in the forecastle, I looked at the bulkhead. It was just squeezing the load. The pressure was so great against it, you know.
Did you keep your fish?
Yeah, we got the fish, but we lost what it has on deck.
Uh-huh.
We lost all that, washed overboard.
What year are we talking about?
That was in 44 or 43, I don't know which one.
You know, there are no sardines around there anymore, I understand.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty
Well, they
run.
went to, why they quit, they went down to South America, see, the
Oh.
anchovies, to fish that.
Mm.
And them guys wanted that kind of, they got it so much cheaper than we could fish it up there in the bay, much cheaper.
Oh, maybe that's what happened.
Yeah,
Because I know
yeah.
Cannery Row is
Yeah.
all closed. It's nothing but a tourist place.
Yeah,
now.
they quit the sardine fishing down there when that South America deal come up, you know. They got all the goddamn anchovies they wanted. It was big companies go down there.
Did you own your own fishing boat when you came back up here?
Yeah, I had my own boat, yeah.
What, trawler?
A gill netter.
Gill netter.
Yeah,
Mostly for salmon?
yeah, just salmon. Yeah.
Any kind of salmon in particular? Or
Yeah.
all,
Oh yeah, all the salmon.
all the salmon?
Yeah.
Pinks and
Yeah.
silvers
pinks,
and
yeah,
kings and
chums.
chums. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's not quite so dangerous, is it? At least you're in inside waters.
Yeah,
for the most
it's not
part.
dangerous at all.
Yeah.
In here, you're in smooth water
Yeah.
all the time.
Halibut, though, is another thing.
Yeah,
I guess
halibut, yeah.
Where do they go for halibut?
Oh, big halibut boats, yeah, they go way up in the Bering Sea,
Mhm,
and they fish all around here from here and on over.
mhm.
Yeah.
I heard one halibut fisherman this morning say that, well, it's this man right next to me here.
Yeah.
And I said, the fellow we were talking to, Phil Jones, the guy
Oh,
with
yeah.
the Springer Spaniel,
Hmm.
asked how they did, and he says, well, they got 1,200 pounds. Now, can they make any money on that? I mean, by the time you pay the crew
Oh,
and
Christ, they only get about 85 cents.
yeah, I heard it was somewhere between 80 cents and $1. I guess.
Yeah.
But the big fish bring more money.
Yeah.
So if it's a big fish, you get $1 a pound, and if it's
Yeah, I
40
guess,
pounds or
yeah.
less, well, you get
Yeah.
80 cents
Yeah.
or 85.
Yeah.
So how do they make any money on that?
Well, I don't know how they make.
Yeah.
These guys are just little guys. They just
They're
go
just
out
playing
there.
around.
Yeah, they got too many men. Hell, I was all alone fishing halibut up there.
Halibut up by yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
How would you pull those babies in with a winch
Oh,
or?
yeah. I had when they got so goddamn big. Well, then I'd shoot them with a gun,
Uh-huh.
and then I'd it'd quiet them down. I'd shove a rope through the mouth and come out the gills, tie a bowline in it, take it on the block, and take it on the winch. I had a nigger head on the winch, and just wrap it right up and come right over the side. Yeah.
And you told me this morning some of those were over 200 pounds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
How many hooks on one of those long lines?
Well, you can have them as far apart as you wanted to. Yeah, but I had mine quite a ways so I could take it by myself. There wasn't that much fish in the bay anyway. So I had them about 30, 35 feet apart. When I'd take it in, the hook would come up, and I'd take and unsnap it, and I'd bait it, and put it in the tub, and have it already baited, ready to go out again when I go. And it worked fine that way.
The tub was where you kept your line?
Yeah, kept the line in the tub, I had kept just the baited hook again.
I see.
Again in the tub.
In the tub.
Yeah, and
The
then go on
line
the
was
reel.
in big coils then?
The line would go on the reel, you know.
Uh-huh.
The reel, see.
Oh.
So, yeah, it worked out good.
Did you make pretty good money at that?
Well, there wasn't there as much halibut as there is now inside.
More halibut now.
They're
I wonder
inside,
why.
yeah. There's more.
Wonder
Well,
why.
they come in streaks, you
Oh.
know. They come in streaks, and yeah, just when I quit, why the halibut started coming in.
How long ago did you quit?
Oh, it must be 8, 9 years ago, I guess. Yeah.
But now when you fish for salmon, you didn't fish by yourself.
Yeah, I fished salmon all by myself too. Yeah, gilling.
How big a boat?
I had 35 feet. Yeah. Yeah.
And sell your fish where, Petersburg or?
Yeah, I sold in Petersburg all the time.
On the airplane coming up here, there were two Mexican boys, and they'd been hired by the cannery in Petersburg.
Oh.
PFI, is it?
Yeah, PFI, yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't think, they hardly spoke English.
Yeah.
They'd never been up here before, and
Yeah.
you know, they came out of Mazatlan where it's
Oh,
85 degrees, and I
Yeah.
thought, oh boy.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Was your dad a fisherman?
No, he was a boat builder.
Primarily boat builder.
Yeah. And when I got home from Frisco and I told him about what happened, the boat leaked or something, I don't know what happened. And he laughed and he says, I know what's happened. He says, it was made out of green timbers, them boats
Oh,
back
it was a
there.
wooden boat?
Yeah. Made out of green timbers and it shrunk.
Oh.
And the corking went out of it and it leaked in there. And that's exactly what happened. They took a fire hose after they got on dry dock and put it inside. And the water, you could just see the water coming out of the seams, you know, just blasting out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess your dad must have been a craftsman.
Oh, he was.
Where did he learn the trade?
In Norway.
Yeah.
He didn't come over to this country until he was 20 years old. And then he took up naval architect.
Were you born in Norway or?
No,
you
I
were
was born here in Ballard.
In Ballard?
Yeah, Ballard there. Yeah, he always had a boat, you know. Yeah, he always had.
Your
boats.
dad knew about sailing boats as well?
Oh yeah, he knew all about sailing because in the old country that's all they had.
They fished in sailboats?
Yeah, fished in sailboats, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, that had to be dangerous. I mean.
Oh, they were tough, them guys.
Yeah.
In cold weather,
Yeah.
freezing.
That's up in the Baltic or in the North Sea.
Yeah, way up in the north. I knew a fisherman that come down. He was here living there across the street from where my grandmother lived. And I used to go down there. My dad built me a wagon, and my mother, she worked like a horse, you know. And that was the old scrub boards.
Was your mother Norwegian too?
Yeah. She come from the old country.
Yeah.
She did nothing but cooking. She cooked for rich people over there. And she's a gourmet cook. God damn, she was good.
Hmm.
Oh boy, she put out a goddamn good meal. I miss her cooking. Oh God, I miss her cooking. Yeah, she was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a nice woman too. Yeah, she was swell.
Hmm.
And this guy here that lived over there, and he was a fisherman from the old country, and his hands were just swollen up big from being in that cold water when he was a kid, fishing, you know, up there. And his
What
hands,
did they fish for?
oh, I guess say, and that's and fin and haddock they had
Oh.
over there. They had different fish than we had.
Haddy is a haddock, is it?
Yeah, haddock.
Is that a bottom fish?
Yeah, it's a bottom fish, I'd say, yeah. And then they had the halibut and that, but
Salmon?
yeah, they had salmon,
Mm-hmm.
North Sea salmon. You know, they got a different kind of salmon than we got.
Mhm.
You know,
Smaller, I think, isn't it?
I don't know if it is.
I don't know either, but I know that what they call the Atlantic salmon
Yeah.
is smaller than
Yeah.
our West Coast
Oh
salmon.
yeah.
What are they doing out here now? Are they catching any fish out here?
Well, they're not gill netting yet. The sportsmen are catching.
Are they?
Once in a while they catch them. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a disappointment to my wife and daughter that I haven't brought a salmon back.
Oh, great.
Maybe if I get tied up down at Shoemaker, maybe I
Oh,
can
yeah.
go out and...
Yeah, that's a good place down there too.
Is it?
Yeah, off of that bluff down there.
Oh.
Yeah. They've
And
been
how
catching a
deep?
few down there. I don't know how deep.
I got a sounder, so I can
Yeah,
find
yeah.
out.
Yeah, you could see all the guys will be trolling back and forth, so you can just follow them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to catch her a nice fish and take it back.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Well, I got you on film, Carl.
Yeah. Has it been here
Sure.
going all the time
You bet.
now?
You bet.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, I better get a hold of that film.
Well,
and destroy it.
I'll once we get her. Yeah, it's. I think it's going to be pretty good. Tell me your name
him a
again
foot.
is.
Go get him.
There,
Go
look
get
at that.
Go, get
Hey
him.
there, pup.
Get him, get him.
What's his name?
Bum Rush.
And yours is
Phil Jones.
Phil Jones and Bum Rush. Couple of champion fishermen. Yeah, and you just got out from halibut,
Just came back from halibut fishing here with Captain Bob.
and how'd
King
you
of the
do?
halibut fisherman.
Yeah, he's the fisherman.
Yeah, I'm the dark Alaskan.
Well, I like you and I like your dog.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll take it as a compliment.
Yep.
And so will the dog. Is that right, buddy? Yeah, buddy.
For both the sides.
And that, they figured that for your boat size and,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
This opening is just free for all, whatever you can catch.
It was 11 million pound quota on this one.
11 million?
Yeah. for this-
Have you heard whether they got the quota?
Oh, they won't know for a week or so.
You have to check in, do you?
Well, when you sell the fish, see, then they add it all up.
How long's that line that you are working on there?
Miles.
Miles?
5 or 6 miles. No, I think it's more. How long's this line, Bob? Bob?
1,800 feet of skate, 15 skates.
Whatever that is. I mean, my mind's too tired to even think that far.
Well,
2,000,
1,800 feet is approximately a
Quarter
third
mile.
of a mile. So 3 skates per mile.
1,800
10
feet to a
skates would be
skeg?
3 miles. I got 4.5 miles basically in the on the rig.
Now, do you tie your hooks all onto that one line? How many hooks?
1,500.
1,500.
100 per skate,
Yeah.
basically.
And a skeg is 1,800 feet?
Yeah.
Skated gear is 1,800 feet.
Skate, you're saying?
Skate.
Like
It's
a
just
roller
a-
skate?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Okay.
Can I pull on this boom?
No. The block. Oh yeah, you can pull on it, but I don't know where it's.
No, I mean the whole arm.
Yeah, it's not supported sideways.
So beautiful in there.
Yeah. Oh shit. You know,
Hey,
no
you're talking about your number one baiter here.
Master Vader, huh?
You're gonna have to have a ranch. Goes filled with my wife's slingshot.
That one's ours, Phil. That's his? You're gonna send it home?
No, this
Oh, watch my sunglasses by your foot, Mom.
Oh,
Those are $100.
What?
That's what they cost.
how many halibut is that? Too damn many, right?
It's,
Yeah, they go on the end of the line, obviously, so you can get it, and then it goes down to an anchor, and then it goes along the bottom with the hooks, and then it comes back up to another float. I mean, well, I have another anchor, then up to another float, so you can put it into 2 or 3 segments, 3 or 4 segments, depending on how you.
do you fish offshore?
It's like a horseshoe.
Yeah, I understand.
And that way, if you break it, hopefully you can go the other end and get back to the, which we did. And I think we got virtually all of it back. But obviously, if you break it near the anchor each place, you lose what's in the middle. But
You fish offshore?
I don't. This
No.
boat isn't insured for it and stuff. I got to get a life raft and an EPIRB and I don't know what all to go
A lot of expense.
outside.
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said about his crew just then? He has to get a life raft and stuff if he goes offshore.
I heard him say that. Show me those teeth again, will
I
you?
gotta get something in Fry's mouth over here.
Now you say that's about a 25-pound
It's
ling.
about a 25-pounder here.
Looks like a great white shark.
They got some. They're toothy guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they fight. They just sooner not come up. See,
Uh-huh.
than come up. And, well, they got a nice little piece of cheek meat in them. And
How deep do you fish for those?
these were about 300 feet to 600 feet or so. Actually. Yeah. And this is the best part of them right here. Cheek. That piece of meat right there is the best.
Anyway, I found myself after about a half an hour working, I was bitching about the hot weather and the sun. And I gotta have that conflict. That's what it was.
told that it's quite rare that Wrangell ever gets a sunset because they never have any sun. This evening there's just a hint of color in the distant sky across the Stikine estuary. So we'll see what comes out. Not very vivid, but still there's something. The sky is coloring up a little bit. It's 9:30 at night, and as you can see, the sky is still very light here at 56 degrees 30 minutes north latitude. Occasionally a boat gets unattended for too long, and this is the kind of thing that happens. Unattended, here is a 42 foot catch. Being cared for Wrangell style. This is a lovely fiberglass vessel, and had she any care at all, she'd be worth $100,000. Boat in Alaska is simply a functional thing, not a thing of beauty. And sometimes when we don't keep them beautiful, they're not functional. Well, we're leaving Wrangell Harbor. Our slip was just sublet, and so Shaw and I are headed down to Shoemaker Bay, which is an adjunct of the port of Wrangell. About medium tide now. This is kind of a panoramic of beautiful downtown Wrangell's waterfront. Good. Pretty much south. And as you can see off the port bow here, there's a small yacht from up here from Washington. The baby looks like she's 85, 100 feet long. Probably worth several $1 million. Well, those are the breaks. Some people have to ride in those terrible tubs. Sorry, a little bit of a wait and wave here. People from getting seasick and see this. Well, I have to wonder who Lisa and Ron are. They own Standard Oil of California. You see her name is Lisa Ron. She has daughter. We will be here for a while. Only problem is that I don't have electrical hookup here yet. I'm on a waiting list for that. The only industry in Pine Village down in this area. Turn the boat a little so I can get a shot of it. Off in the distance there is the Alaska Pulp Corporation sawmill. It's June the 12th, Friday. Scrimshaw and I are headed towards Warrenkovsky Island. And thereafter we're headed for Zarembo Island. Zarembo is the next island over. And we're focusing on that now. On Zarembo there is a fine little harbor with a dock. The dock is maintained by the Forest Service, and we can tie up there tonight, or if not, why, it's a nice shallow harbor and we can anchor. This is the first time that we've had our sails up in 10 months. The last time was when we were coming up Zimovia Strait, which is off to our port side. In fact, right now we're looking down Zimovia Strait, due south. The next island down there, you can see with the snow-covered peak, that's Ethelyn Island. And we're not going to go that way this time, but eventually, of course, we'll go down that way. It seems that our wind is about to die, so we may have to turn on the old mill, but we'll let that happen. Scrimshaw is looking pretty good, with a little bit of mold on her lines, and a few hours in the sun will bleach those out beautifully. All right, I guess I better get back and start sailing, see what in the world we can do to deal with this lack of wind, the sailor's lament. This may be the last item on this particular tape. This is the first tape. I think it's a 2-hour tape that I brought along, and so this may be the bitter end of this particular episode. Again, under sail on Friday the 12th, and this is about the prettiest view of the Wrangell skyline that I have seen. Wrangell is over there. Should be able to make it out, and then lovely, rugged, snow-capped mountains beyond. Islands everywhere. And we're under sail. I've got the helm tied, and the wind is light enough that we're just kind of bouncing along at 2 knots, perhaps 2.5, maybe 3. A good puff comes along. The salmon fishing has been terrific, and that's the main reason for this trip, and there was wind enough I just didn't want to power over. This is a sailing vessel after all. It's good to see these lovely white wings doing their thing again, and looking up towards, see the wind direction, we're almost into it. Just moments ago, the radio, I get one station up here, KSTK, and listening to Eastern European analysts tell about we're about to go to war apparently with Bosnia-Herzegovina. Problem over there I haven't got the vaguest understanding of, except that there are a lot of ethnic groups that can't get along with one another. In any case, I'm glad I'm here. Up on the foredeck, Scrimshaw is there, and I'm pointed more or less at Roosevelt Harbor. Not only is the tide against us, but the wind's against us. As soon as I get up to this next little island, it's a needle point over there, and as soon as I get there, why, I'll come about, and then I may have a reach into the harbor. As you can see, the weather's closed down a little bit. This is the Alaska that I know and love. Can't have sunshine more than 2 days in a row. Ruining Alaska's reputation. Looking aft, this is Warrenkovsky Island, and along there is called Sunrise, that particular stretch, and that's where I'll fish for the salmon tomorrow. They're bringing in 25-pounders one after another, so I've got a package of frozen herring, and with any luck at all, I will go for it. Hope you're not getting seasick here. There's a little Pshaw that she hasn't been out for a long time, trailing along nicely. She's lost most of her paint during the winter, but we can fix that up. And then coming around, showing the mainsail and the mast nicely heeled, while in the far, far distance you see the little Wrangell. One of the thrills of British Columbia and Alaska is cruising along close to shore and finding one after another beautiful waterfalls, most of them even unnamed. Here's a little one on Warrenkovsky Island. I hope it picks up. It's just a lovely little falls. Probably no salmon in there because the salmon couldn't get up the falls. But I just had a lovely salmon on, 20 pounds, 18 pounds. Being alone, I just couldn't land it. Sunday, June the 14th, and I'm taking this from the top of the dock at Roosevelt Harbor. Scrimshaw is hard aground. We had a minus 1.8 foot tide this morning, and as the old adage goes, when the depth of your keel is greater than the depth of the water, you are most certainly aground. Nice soft bottom, so no harm done. This nice lonely little harbor is what sailors call a hidey-ho hole. It's deep enough for any boat unless you tie up to too shallow a dock. It's good anchorage, soft bottom, and there are reportedly lots of crabs here. You can see how steep the runway is at this low tide. I'll be leaving in an hour or so to fish my way back to Wrangell, more precisely Shoemaker Harbor, and then get ready for tomorrow's departure back to Tumwater. This is indeed a beautiful, beautiful harbor. It's supposed to be a little cooler today, and frankly that's kind of a welcome thing. It's been about June the 14th, Sunday, and just left Roosevelt Harbor. Scrimshaw is purring along and boiling the water. About that, we just had a major wind shift, and I almost jived. That's probably 12 knots of wind. Problem is, it's a little fluky. You can see there's a cloud cover on Juneau Island and all the other islands here. This is more a typical Southeast Alaska day than what we've been having. I must confess, it feels pretty good. The problem here with sailing is that all these multitudinous channels have their own current direction, and so one has to be a little bit attentive to the helm. I've got the helm tied down with a homemade tiller tender, but it doesn't always do the job as it did a moment ago. The wind shifted. Urankovsky Island is where the fishing is good, and it's kind of pretty this morning with its little bandana of white clouds and its snow-capped peak Urankovsky. Pretty good knots, probably 5.5 or 6. I sucked in a little air in my diesel this morning, and so I'm sailing back rather than powering. It's kind of nice to sail anyway, but I'm having to make my plans now on how I'm going to bleed those diesel lines so that I can pull into Shoemaker Bay. I suppose what I'll do is to get in the lee of some small island or find some little bay where I can pull into under sail, drop the hook, and work on the engine. Thus is a sailor's life.